Hello and welcome to August 4th, 2022. This is my daily good life video, something that I do every morning just after waking up to remember my life objectives and principles and to plan for the day ahead. I also try to remember yesterday and see how I did applying the aforementioned principles to the challenges and opportunities of the day. First, last night and yesterday. I'd say last night was a interesting failure. I tried an experiment to see if it could help me to sleep. I had a cup of coffee before bed, and then I decided to turn the live on and do a live video. I'll have my coffee to stay up a little, force myself to stay up a little bit later to see if I could sleep to the alarm. So the result was that I did sleep a little more soundly into the morning hours. I did wake up twice. It was interesting. I woke up and then fell asleep. I woke up again. I must have been like within the last hour, 3:30 to 4:30 a.m. Woke up twice there, including right at the end there, maybe 10 minutes. Hard to be sure. But the result was a failure. I'm exhausted. Compound that with the fact that I didn't get enough sleep because I stayed up late. Add that to the fact that yesterday was a really tough day, and that was a bad idea. I shouldn't have done that. It's one of those rare days that I wish I could just call in sick. Something that I almost never do. Literally, I can count on one hand the number of times I've called in sick since coming back to America. Just not what I do. Anyway, tired. And I've got another pretty good day ahead of me. I mean, pretty good meaning hard. I think I had 13 meetings yesterday. Wow. Otherwise, it was a good day at work. I mean, it was like being at an amusement park all day, racing between the attractions, each meeting. I was in a relatively good spirits all day. I wasn't too stressed. It just was hard work. Wow. And I'm beat. Okay, I need this coffee. Let's do the good life. 7 objectives. Number 1, to be always ready to die. To have everything in order. My affairs, my relationships, and my objectives. 2, to make good and effective use of my time. To not let the day slip through my fingers. 3, to cultivate, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions. Just to be able to move through the day well, react well. 5, to perform good actions. 6, to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities. And 7, to do just one thing at a time, and to do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. My 31, look at how it stumbles the brain. Just not getting a good sound night's sleeps just kind of mucks everything up. My brain is a little bit scrambly right now. Okay, my principles are war. To fight against what I think is true and what others propose to me that I should believe is true. Reason and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, and doubt, which is the framework and perspective that I take on the world to fight an able war against truth. No, against proclaimed truth. That's right. 3, the homunculus. I don't have a soul, but I do have a consciousness. 4, the Anchorhold, the place where the homunculus lives, which is right here in my head. It won't survive my death. I will decompose and rot after I die, or be burned up, or composted, or something. And then that'll be the end of me forever. 5, the home of good and evil. Right and wrong do not live out there in the universe. They reside in my mind. It's an opinion that I have, and I may share those opinions with you. And when they reflect reality, those opinions are subjective at their core, but when they reflect the facts of the world, well, when they're more descriptive of reality than prescriptive, then they start to appear objective in some ways, but they're still subjective. We can have a subjective opinion about an objective fact. Then comes purpose. My 3 purpose are to be a good husband and father. I call that biology. To live a virtuous life, pursuing the well-being of others, particularly thinking creatures. And then to have a personal mission. In my case, it's the continued development and sharing of my book, Going Alone. And that's exactly what I'm doing by making this video right now. This is that effort. My primary way to do this now that I'm a hard-working man. Got to do my day job first. Next comes the atomic principle. Everything is made of little bits and pieces, including you and me. And we're soon going to fall to pieces, very soon. And then the principle of nature. Everything has some particular nature, including you and me. And then the pirate ride. Free will is an illusion. Very convincing one, but we're not really free. We are, in fact, decision engines driven by the universe at large. And then maturity, and these are principles of wisdom and fortitude. We are mature when we wisely remember our past successes and failures and strive to have the strength and fortitude to do better in the future. The social principle, we need each other. We're social creatures. And then public speaking, a reminder to be very careful about what I say, to use few words, carefully chosen words and deliberate words. Here's an example of something that I did yesterday that I wish I'd done better. I have to figure out a way to say this in a very circumspect and prudent way. I don't want to give any details away. I'm talking about work. I said something yesterday. I deliberated on it in the moment. I must have had a full 10 seconds to think about it. And I made a choice that probably was not the right choice. It turned out to work out well. It's like choosing the door where you hope you have friends behind the door rather than a monster. And I did have friends behind the door, but it's very possible there could have been a monster there. I haven't described it at all. There's no way anybody can figure out what the hell I'm talking about. But the point gets across. If I could rewind the clock and do that moment again, which I know I can't because of the fact that I have no, even if I could get in a time machine, rewind the clock and run the universe back the same way, since I don't have free will, I wouldn't make a different choice. But I would wish that I could have made a different choice. Okay, public speaking also suggests to not gossip. I trespassed a little bit on gossip yesterday. I was tempted to, but I didn't do it. I'm proud of myself on that account. It's really hard for gossip to get to get a word in edgewise anymore with me. I really have developed a strong and fortified wall against that. And that's nothing small. That's huge. I would much rather just enjoy silence rather than that. And I did. So I did yesterday. There were moments of silence. I had social moments yesterday. I could tell you guys a story, but I won't because it touches too close to work. But it was an interesting example of how the pandemic, the new norms, the pandemic can have changed things at work. Okay, that was, oh gosh, I'm tired. Oh, what did I just say? It's public speaking, right? Yeah. Okay, then after public speaking comes, is it Temperance? Excuse me, I gotta wipe the sleep out of my eyes. Temperance. Sub-principles of suffering and simplicity. Apathy belongs with the objective of recognizing true limits and true opportunity and being able to disconnect myself from things that are outside of my control. So I kick that, punt it all the way back to that objective. Temperance says two sub-principles, suffering and simplicity. We suffer when we say no to ourselves, and the simple life is a temperate life. Then next comes, life will not go well. That's a statement and a principle. Life is just filled with, speed bumps and ambushes. Yeah. Then comes the horror show. Life has truly horrible things that happen to us. And after the horror show comes that which must be borne. And what we have to bear is, we have to bear the fact that life won't go well, and we have to bear the fact of the horror show, and we have to bear the responsibilities that we onboard in the course of our life, particularly with the ones related to our decision to, settle down with somebody and start a family. Particularly the family part. That washes the deck with our freedom. We really have to see that through. It's more than a responsibility, it's a mandate. Have a kid, and the next 20, 25 years of your life are set in stone. Yep. I gotta remember that. That means I have another 3.5 years. Okay, what's next? What's next? What is next? I'm so tired. Oh, the Feast of Offal. It's when we get upset and let everybody know. Or when we consume the upset of somebody else who's having a bad day. And then distraction. We distract ourselves through work and play and hobbies and religion, etc., so that we don't have to see the emptiness of the universe. That's the next principle. I call that the great indifference. Actually, the formal term for that principle is agency in the great indifference, where agency is is us. It's the contrast to the great indifference. Those thinking creatures that can perceive and apprehend the universe and maybe can glimpse the great indifference. Then comes the best seat in the house, to be all right with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing. Then the path of wildness, which is a way to move forward from one life into another life, just segue to a new experience, to new paradigm of life. And then comes the great life adventure, which is the consequence of getting on the path of wildness and creating a new life. The risk of avoiding risk, surface level and deep level risks of life. It's tough to attend to both. The surface level risks are education, career, home, family, and security. The deep risk is taking the time and making the effort to find ourselves, to create our own identity and life story. And then after that comes the sin and damnation. There are 7 sins in my worldview, and these are related to being untrue, saying things that are untrue, or being untrue, believing things that are untrue, or gossiping. Enumerated, the 7 sins are, I guess it's the 7 deadly sins: falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, dogma, authority, and gossip. Then comes, after that, sin, complete oblivion. When we die, there's going to be nothing left of us. We're just going to, dissolve away, so to speak. That means we won't see anybody in an afterlife. We won't have a happy reunion afterwards. We won't have any chance to reconcile, and there won't be any final justice. Next comes the season of philosophy. Hey, I'm starting to meld into this new structure that came a little easier, and the coffee's starting to kick in. The season of philosophy is time to record what we've learned along the way. Keep the pen and paper handy. And then the bullseye aim, shooting for the mark but usually missing. The uphill climb, continuing to trudge upward in life to higher vistas. Every day should end exhausted and beat and maybe a little bit broken. I love the idea of being broken. I love the idea of being spent. I want to die having thoroughly used this body and mind up. And next comes arena and utility. Life is an arena for the execution of our principles in pursuit of our objectives. Nothing is enough. Nothing is enough. A reminder towards emptiness? No, and a reminder towards simplicity. Lastly, the principle of fun. A reminder to have a good time now while looking forward to the future and in a remembrance of the past. And I'm getting better at that, I think. All right. Yeah, I did it. Okay, as for my plan for today, I have a lot of meetings, not as many as before. I have one particularly tricky thing I need to get through to set up for something for a meeting tomorrow. I have 2 meetings today that I need to do to get ready for that meeting tomorrow, blah, 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 blah. And then I have a couple of other things I need to do. I'll do it. It's Wednesday after all. I'm ready. It's what I do, after all. Be safe, but not too safe.